Aliens denied the soul, until a human died and came back. The galaxy had long abandoned the concept of the soul. To the Eleth collective, consciousness was only chemistry. But when a human commander dies saving them, and comes back 3 hours later, they are forced to face an impossible truth: death is not the end, and humanity may hold the key to what lies beyond. To the galactic concord, the soul was a myth. A primitive construct born of fear, an outdated notion belonging to a species too young to understand consciousness. The Eleth collective, the most advanced civilization in the known universe, had proven it scientifically: consciousness was nothing more than electrical patterns in biological matter. When the brain died, so did the being. End of story. That certainty lasted until Commander Jalen Reyes died. The ISS Verity, a Terran research vessel, was assisting Eleth scientists with a deep-core fusion experiment near Sigma Rho 9. The joint project was meant to stabilize a new kind of stellar reactor: energy without collapse, fuel without decay. It worked perfectly until it didn't. The containment field ruptured, a burst of energy tore through the deck, and Jalen threw himself between the blast and the Eleth delegation. The impact vaporized his suit and shut down his vitals in less than a second. By the time the medical drones reached him, his heart had stopped. His brain activity flatlined. Dead. The Eleth made a note: human casualty, expected. But 3 hours later, Commander Jalen Reyes sat up on the operating table and gasped for air. The medical staff screamed. Eleth physicians froze, their translucent skin pulsing in shades of disbelief. Humans were resilient, yes, but not this resilient. His blood had cooled. His body temperature was sub-zero. His organs had ceased functioning for over 180 minutes. And yet, when Jalen opened his eyes, he whispered, "I saw them." Dr. Vethri, the lead Eleth physician, leaned close. "Who did you see?" Jalen blinked, his pupils dilating. "Everyone." The Eleth were scientists above all else. They ran every test possible. No brain damage. No hallucination-inducing chemicals. Neural activity, perfectly normal. But Jalen kept insisting. He described a place, not darkness, not light, but a vast expanse beyond time. He said he could feel thoughts, not his own but collective, eternal, boundless. He said he saw people he had known, his parents, his sister, soldiers who had died years ago. He said they spoke to him, not in words, but in meaning. And then, they sent him back. "They told me to finish what I started," he said. The Eleth called it post-traumatic delusion. The humans called it a miracle. The Eleth were offended by the word soul. To them, it was a superstition. So when the Terran Council demanded proof of consciousness persistence, the Eleth offered a challenge. They would kill and revive a human under controlled conditions, scientifically, humanely. Jalen volunteered. The Eleth thought it would disprove him. Humanity thought it would vindicate him. The procedure began under the watch of hundreds of observers across dozens of worlds. Jalen was injected with a neural inhibitor. His heart stopped. Monitors flatlined. The Eleth scanned his mind, recording every atom, every neural fluctuation. 10 minutes later, they revived him. He awoke screaming. For hours, Jalen could not speak. When he did, his voice trembled. "They're watching," he said. "You can't scan it. You can't touch it. But they see you." Dr. Vethri leaned forward. "Who sees us?" Jalen's gaze fixed on him, unblinking. "The ones who remember what you forgot." He described something the Eleth could not explain: patterns in their sensors during the experiment, impossible fluctuations in quantum resonance that matched the rhythm of human EEG waves. The same frequencies appeared in ancient Terran spiritual chants, identical harmonic structures. Coincidence, the Eleth said. But the data didn't agree. Within days, every Eleth research network began to show signs of interference, faint signals, fractal noise within their quantum systems. It wasn't random. It formed shapes. Faces. Human faces. At first, the Eleth dismissed it as a side effect of human data corruption. But when they isolated their systems, the interference followed. It moved between closed networks. Between ships. Between minds. Jalen was in the med bay when it happened again. His heart monitor spiked as he stared into the corner of the room. "She's here," he whispered. The Eleth scanned. No life signs. No energy signatures. Jalen smiled faintly. "She says you don't believe enough to see her." Across the Concord, chaos erupted. Was this human manipulation? Was it possible that consciousness could exist independent of biology? The Eleth Council convened an emergency hearing. Jalen was summoned. He stood before beings older than his species, glowing with intelligence, arrogance, and certainty. "Commander Reyes," the High Scholar intoned, "you claim to have experienced post-mortem awareness. Yet no empirical evidence supports this. How do you explain it?" Jalen met his gaze. "You don't need evidence. You need humility." The chamber murmured. He continued, "You've spent millennia mapping the stars, but never your own essence. You measure atoms, not meaning. You know what life is, but not why it matters." An Eleth scoffed. "The why is irrelevant to function." "Then you've already died," Jalen said quietly. That night, the Concorde flagship Eminence suffered a catastrophic core failure. The entire ship went dark, life support gone, atmosphere venting. Over 2,000 Eleth aboard. No survivors. Except the ship didn't explode. It stopped. Suspended in space, the vessel hung in complete stillness, its energy signature frozen. Drones sent to investigate reported something impossible: time inside the ship had ceased to move. And in the last transmission recorded from within, a voice, human, unmistakably Jalen's, whispered. "You wanted proof." The Eleth panicked. They searched for him, but Jalen Reyes was still in custody on the Terran outpost, 14 light minutes away. Yet the voice was his. When they confronted him, he didn't deny it. He simply said, "I told you they're watching." He explained that death was not destruction, but transition, consciousness stepping through layers of reality. That humans had always felt it intuitively, through religion, art, grief. That which the Eleth denied was not unprovable, merely inconvenient. "You call it superstition," he said. "But you're the ones living in ignorance. You cut yourselves off from the rest of existence and called it logic." He told them that those who die do not vanish, they echo. Every mind leaves a resonance, and humanity has learned, unknowingly, to align with it through emotion, memory, and faith. The Eleth had erased those things centuries ago. In seeking immortality, they had killed their souls. One cycle later, Jalen vanished. His cell was empty, no trace of escape. Every camera showed the same impossible frame, a brief flash of light and static. And then, across half the galaxy, thousands of Eleth began dreaming for the first time in centuries. They dreamed of oceans and fire, of stars that sang, of faces smiling through the void. And in every dream, a human voice said the same words. "You finally believe." Decades passed. The Concorde changed. They no longer mocked human spirituality, they studied it. They built temples next to laboratories, taught philosophy beside physics. The Eleth began to paint again. To love. To hope. And on a quiet night, beneath the twin suns of Sigma Rho 9, Dr. Vethry looked up from his observatory. In the reflection of the glass, he saw Jalen standing beside him, smiling. Vethry whispered, "Is it true, then? The soul?" Jalen looked to the stars. It was never about truth. Only connection. Then he was gone. The monitor beside Vethry flickered once. For a heartbeat, it displayed an impossible pulse. Human. Alive.